everybody. It is 6:01 p.m. Thank you for attending tonight's board meeting. Let's all rise. I will be bringing the meeting to order. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, you may proceed with the roll call.
Trustee White.
Here.
Trustee Beeks.
Here.
Langshaw. Here. Supervisor Hutchings.
Here.
Clerk Stage here. Treasurer Wiersma.
Here.
Trustee Harmon.
Here.
All present. Rob Thal is here also.
Thank you. Next, I'd be seeking an approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All support.
We have a motion and support to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving into the consent agenda, I'd be seeking a motion to accept the consent agenda as provided.
Make that motion.
We have a motion and support to accept the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving into our special guest speaker. Where is he? There he is. Hi. It's your turn. We have a special guest speaker tonight, Adi from Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority. If you'd like to test the mic and make sure you can be heard, you're
Hello.
free for takeoff. Here you go.
Thanks, everyone, for letting me join you and present information about public transportation. I'm with the KCTA. My name is Adi Rama. I was actually with you guys 2 years ago to present information about public transportation. I'm back. I do this periodically all over Kalamazoo County. And I'm a board member on KCTA, which stands for Kalamazoo County Transportation Authority. And it is a governing body that basically provides public transportation throughout Kalamazoo County. And when you think of public transportation, you typically think of buses and things that are not necessarily offered in Ross, but they're in the city. I'm here to talk about the different Metro and the different services that they do have, because Metro Connect is actually a service you get here. So Metro has a mission to improve the quality of life of the community by providing public transit services that are dependable, convenient, safe, efficient, cost-effective, and accessible for all. Over 120 million public transit rides to the community since 1967. When polled, customers of Metro state that the primary uses that they have, the reason they're using Metro is to get to employment, education, and essential services. So what Metro offers is basically access to those things for people who don't have vehicles, and for some people who just choose to not have a car. So, like I mentioned before, there's no bus service in Ross, but there are other services that I'm going to go through that Metro offers, and even though you don't live in the city, you might be able to utilize some of these services. But the first one, Metro Connect, is a countywide ADA-compliant paratransit service available to everybody in Kalamazoo County. And it does rides, it provides rides all throughout Kalamazoo County, not just in the city area or one particular zone. It's commonly known as Dial-A-Ride, and I think it was known as Dial-A-Ride way back when here as well. So on top of Kalamazoo County, they also offer rides to the VA hospital in Battle Creek. So that's like one major exception to the rule. They get vets to the VA hospital. It is a service that costs $12. So compared to an Uber or a Lyft or some other ways to get transportation, it's price competitive, but it primarily focuses on people with disabilities and people that are seniors, and they have discounted rates of $3 and $4 respectively. So $3 a ride is pretty economical for people with disabilities, and $4 will not get you an Uber ride if you're a senior. They provided in 2025 148,286 rides. So it's a significant amount in Kalamazoo County. When I read that number first, I was kind of shocked because I had no idea. I'm on the board, but that's quite a few rides. That's people getting places every year. So in case you want to know more about Metro Connect service, I've got some brochures over there that have the contact numbers. It's an on-demand service, so you'll have to call in or go to the website to schedule a ride. So it's not quite like Uber where they have an app, but there is a portal that they're developing that they should have out later this year. But short of the portal, they've got a telephone number you can call to get rides scheduled. They operate every day except for the holidays, so that information is also on the brochure. So Metro Connect, on top of that, they've got fixed route bus. If you're in the city, there's a fixed route bus. There's 21 bus routes. They operate 7 days a week. On top of that, there's a Metro Share program. Metro Share basically shares Metro vehicles with nonprofit groups and companies serving people with disabilities and the seniors. So I know that they have programs with agencies in Kalamazoo, Portage, and Vicksburg. I'm not sure about every program that they have, but essentially Metro vans, the branded vans you see driving around, are available for companies that are helping people with disabilities and seniors provide services. And I believe they train the drivers, they provide the gas, they provide the insurance. So it really helps enable the community in that respect. And a lot of people don't know about it. So if you're interested in Metro Share, please contact Metro. There's information about this on their website. The last service I want to talk about is a new service. I think the last time I spoke here, they hadn't yet implemented it, but it's called Link, Metro Link. And what Metro Link does is an on-demand, app-based, kind of like an Uber service that allows people to basically plan their ride on an app, and it takes the mystery, and one way to look at it is it takes the mystery out of buses or public transit. If you live in Kalamazoo, in one of the zones that it supports 3 main zones, the eastern zone, the western zone, and the south. And they've got a map of where it supports on the website, or you can use the app. You basically program your trip in like you would with an Uber, saying, hey, I'm here, I want to get from point A to point B, and it'll walk you through how to do that. That might mean that they show up with a van and just take you to where you want to go, like, hey, I need to go to the grocery store, or I need to go to the doctor's, right? Within a zone, I believe they're basically getting you from point A to point B on a van. But if you've got a trip that spans all throughout Kalamazoo, it might direct you to walk to the end of the street. They'll pick you up with a van. They'll drop you off at a bus stop. But everything is planned out on an app. And for a lot of people, using the bus is a little confusing. They don't do it every day, so they might not know what to do. And this app just walks people through how to use it. And this was an idea that came out of a comprehensive operational analysis of Metro services and how we could improve services to the community. And one thing that this was set to do, and is actually doing now that we can see the reporting information, is for people who do ride the bus, if you have to take the bus, sometimes you might have to take 2 different routes, which takes you all the way downtown because it's a hub model, and then another route that takes you to where you need to go. Link is basically, in a lot of cases, getting rid of one of those routes. So it's cutting your trip down about half an hour in the morning or half an hour at night. It's making public transit a lot easier for people to utilize. We didn't know what to expect. There's a lot of direct trips as well. They didn't know what to expect, but they're doing over 10,000 rides a month. That's pretty major in basically 1 year of operation to do 10K a month in rides. So they're doing a fantastic job of getting that service available to everybody. They're changing zones, so check the website. It'll have the most recent information on where they're at. So in closing, encourage everybody to try public transportation. Metro Connect is available in the area. If you're a senior or know somebody who's a senior or someone has got disabilities and they don't know about this program, they're really missing out because it's the absolute most cost-effective way to get from point A to point B. And the drivers are very trained well in dealing with elderly. I know my senior parents utilize Metro Connect, and they help people get in and off the bus, help them get into buildings, making sure they're safe the whole time. And they do the same thing with people with disabilities. So, again, I've got my information with you guys. If you have any more information that you'd like, I can get it for you if you email me. You can also just check the Metro website. But yes, please try public transportation, Metro Connect. Thank you.
Abby, do you have a business card that you could leave behind for us, or is this in the package of information you left for us?
I can leave you my business card. It's not a Metro business card, it's my work business card, but yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions of our special guest from the board?
No, but I can just say, having used it for my mother when she was at a point where needed help getting around and we weren't capable of doing it, it was a fantastic service. So I think it's well worth people getting to know about. So when the time comes and you need it, you know it's there.
I participated in your Metro Share. When I worked at the schools, we used that to get our kids that were in the alternative ed to different projects, and it was a great service. I was trained by you guys.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's just like these services exist, and we need to get out more and talk to people. I was at Prairie Round last week, and they're there for people to utilize. Let people know.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else with questions or before I?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are moving into citizen comment. We are recording for YouTube, so please speak up. We would appreciate if you would clearly state and spell your last name for the minutes. Comments are strictly limited to 3 minutes per one citizen. Citizen comment is designed for one-way commentary to address the board. All citizens providing comment should address their remarks to the supervisor and board chair, who may respond to provide brief and factual information. Board members will refrain from speaking during citizen comment. If citizens need specific assistance, please contact Ross Township during business hours for additional guidance or information. So clerk, I am opening public comment at 6:14 p.m. Who would like to lead us off?
Good evening. My name is Pam Mosley, Mosley. And I have lived at 6116 West Sherman Lake Drive since 1986. I've been around 40 years now. First of all, I want to thank you for all that you do, you continue to do. Most of us really do appreciate what you do. We don't always send you emails every week to let you know what a fantastic job that you're doing, but we do appreciate you, and I want you to know that. I have been involved with the Sherman Lake Residents Association since 2000, and I've seen many changes, volunteered many hours to help keep what we consider the biggest asset, our property, is Sherman Lake. And we want to keep it in top quality. That is the main goal of Sherman Lake Residents Association. We also host fun events and encourage residents to get together and enjoy the lake together. I want to apologize for the extra work that you have to do because of those who complain and demand so much of your time. I want to let you know that there has never, ever been any type of conspiracy, as suggested by some, to deceive or cheat our neighbors. There are 2 types of residents on our lake: those who do the work and those who complain about those who do the work, yet never volunteer to step up and help. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
I'm going to time my address, so I'll start it when I'm ready to talk. I'm Pat Doran. I live at 12346 North Sherman Lake, where I have lived since 1946. Since this meeting includes the Sherman Lake SAD, I would like to just put a bit of brief background to all of that. We have the very informal Sherman Lake Residents Association, who issued an invitation several years ago to all the residents to do some research and come up with some propositions and present them at a meeting. I did this with an outfit called Huron Lakes Management. And as soon as I stood up and introduced what I was going to talk about, I was told, we've already looked at that and we're not going to do it. So you do not need to make your presentation. So that shut me off as a person who had done research and wanted to help. And it opened the door for Dr. Jennifer Jones and John Cucci to experiment on our lake with aeration. And it was a very successful experiment if you wanted to find a bowl of pea soup green looking water to play in. It took about 3 seasons to get it to that stage. And along with that, washing up on people's shore was blue-green algae. Now, what is blue-green algae? It's poison. It's toxic. People's pets die if they ingest this. People's kids get sick if they pick it up and put it on their face or throw it at another kid. This is toxic and this is poison. So next, I went to one of our very informal lake residents who was on the Lake Management Board, another very informal board, and I said, what are we going to do about this? And he goes, I'm going to take those samples and I'm going to take them right up to Muskegon to Jennifer Jones' lab and we'll get some answers. I waited for answers. I waited for weeks for answers. I kept asking for answers and the answers never came. What are we going to do about this blue-green algae? What's causing it? Whatever. Well, finally, Dr. Jones has come out years later and said, well, the aeration and the chemicals could have caused it. Really? It's a toxic poison. We have poison everywhere in our environment now. We have poison sprayed on our crops. We have injections for hormones jabbed into our cows to increase their production of milk, which results in shorter lives for the cows and other problems. We have ticks, we have Lyme disease, we have ehrlichiosis. We are in a poisonous atmosphere. So let's dump in some more chemicals. I've got a whole list of chemicals that are going to be dumped into Sherman Lake this summer. More poison. Our whole environment is poison. Better living through chemistry? It's not. Please recuse Christina and Amanda from discussions because they are lake residents. And here are recordings of what I just said and all of the chemicals that can go be dumped in our lake this summer.
Thank you, Pat.
We need to make a change.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. So the next person that speaks, I don't want your address, so please don't give me your address. And then just as a form of formality, I don't start my timer until you have given me your name. So once you've given me your full name, then I start your timer, but I don't want to know where you live. Next.
Well, you know my name. My name is Mark Rogers, and you spell my last name Rodgers. As all of you are aware, I've issued you several emails. I've made my viewpoint, my perspective very clear on the SAD. How I heard today, I'm sorry, hear me now? The only thing I knew about this meeting is the SAD on Sherman Lake was going to be discussed. I didn't know specifically what it was going to be about. So I kind of inundated you with a whole bunch of information, not knowing. I'm not going to repeat my comments, but I am going to submit them for the meeting minutes. I encourage anybody to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want supporting documentation on anything I've said in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name's Donna Piracini, Pieracini. I've recently expressed my thoughts and concerns on Facebook regarding the division in our country, but more personally, the division in our little lake. It's no secret that this division in our lake is being led by one of our residents, Carrie Lynn. And I'm just so frustrated by all of the communications that's being published aimed at the Sherman Lake Association, of which I am a part. I'm a board member just for director for a few people. And criticisms of the Ross Township. It's very easy to sit in the comfort of your own home and criticize. She requests information. I know from you people she requested information about documentation and emails, trying to find something, what more to criticize. I'm not sure. My problem is she hasn't come to us ever and offered any ideas of how she thinks the lake could better be benefited. We'd be happy to hear ideas, but she's never attended a meeting to my knowledge. Maybe when I wasn't there, but anyway. If she doesn't trust the organizations we've been working with, we'd like to hear her suggestions, but I see nothing. And the criticism started when the sewer project started. I would just like her to share her ideas, to join with us, to continue to make the health of the lake a priority. Next year, we will be asking the residents to vote on a new SAD. So there are several months for her to come forward as a member of the Sherman Lake to offer her suggestions and work towards a common goal of our healthy lake. I don't like this bickering back and forth. It's not productive. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Yes, my name is Chris Helmbold, Helmbold. And this is in regard to, I know there's a discussion about a SAD coming up. And this information I got from MSU Extension for Lakes and Streams. And one of the pages that I was looking at asked me a question. So I asked, can a Lake Residents Association legally control monies collected from a township authorized SAD? And the answer was no. A private Lake Residents Association cannot legally control, hold, or directly manage monies collected from a township authorized special assessment district. And then it goes on to say, under Michigan law, whether the district is established by a lake improvement board, NREPA Part 309, or directly by the township under the Township Special Assessment Act PA 188 of 1954, SAD levies are legally classified as public funds because they are public tax dollars and they are subject to strict statutory requirements regarding government custody, public accounting and auditing. Private entities like a lake association cannot perform these government administrative functions. So with this SAD, it's the statutory authority for townships, it says, can establish a lake board, and either by motion or by petition. By petition, they need 2/3 of the property owners, but by motion, they can pass a resolution to establish a township board. Now, I know there's, or the lake board. And if they do that, I mean, there's certain statutory requirements to go through that process. And it's time consuming. And I know that if we're going to have a SAD, I think maybe the lake board should go ahead and make that motion and get going on establishing a lake board. After they establish a lake board, there's a possibility that the Lake Association can either well, they can be contracted to do some of the work that the township would not have to do. The township's got enough stuff on its plate that they can't necessarily concentrate on lake management. The Lake Association can, but the lake board can do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Carrie Lynn Eliff, Elieff, and I would like my comments and the letter that I sent to the Ross Township Board to be placed in the minutes. And just for comment, I don't like to be falsely accused of things. I am here tonight because of the Sherman Lake Special Assessment District. First, I'm requesting the board to place a motion on the agenda and to vote on the issue to put out a request for proposal on the lake management SAD. Second, I'm requesting that Sherman Lake property owners be included in the vendor selection process. The lake belongs to all of us, and those paying the SAD should have a meaningful voice. Third, I'm calling on Supervisor Hutchings and Treasurer Wiersma to recuse themselves because they do live on the lake, and there is a significant concern regarding conflicts of interest and impartiality. Fourth, I'm asking for a credit for the years that the aeration has not been in service to my property. There are serious issues that warrant fresh review for the current management. Our limnologist in her 2026 report stated aeration could have caused the toxic blue-green algae. In 2025, she emailed Pat Duran saying that multiple lakes were removing aeration due to negative impact. Austin Lake, Indian Lake, Pickerel Lake, and Podunk Lake are among many that have removed aeration in Everblue lakes. Keeler Lake has only 1 year left. They're not using the aeration this year, and it's reporting that they're not going to continue. Eagle refused Bear Lake to allow aeration. At this time, the Professional Lakes Management in Grand Rapids, they manage and Eurasian milfoil on Wall Lake and other lakes successfully and without aeration, and they appear to be able to be capable of providing the entire scope for Sherman Lake for potentially significant lower cost. Water clarity on Forest Beach area has deteriorated. I'm also concerned with the seemingly coordinated statements made by the informal Sherman Lake Residents Association president and our limnologist suggesting that Eagle forced them to remove aeration from deep waters and tied the township's hand. And Derek Haroldson from Eagle responded to my email informing me that the decision originated with our limnologist. Additionally, Jennifer Jones, the limnologist, encouraged residents to sign the SAD, and knowing that she was going to get a significant increase in her salary of approximately 50%. There are questions that have to be answered.
Thank you.
And I'll give it to you after because I'll do the rest of it.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Tom Boyd. Over the past month, I've noticed a couple of postings on various community forums and have seen mass emails distributed by a couple of Sherman Lake neighbors criticizing the Sherman Lake Residents Association, referring to the association and board members as toxic, and alleging that they are involved in potential criminal activity related to their volunteer work as board members for the not-for-profit SLRA organization. The authors are demanding the dismantling of the toxic and controlling SLRA board. So I decided to do a little homework and see what kind of toxic activities the SLRA has been involved in. Here's what I found. Over the past 50 years, the Informal Controlling Toxic SLRA Board has hosted annual picnics, potlucks, open to all residents, organized 4th of July boat parades, open to all residents, arranged and hosted annual meetings, open to all residents, providing budget information, water quality program updates, updates from our limnologists, and open forums for discussion. They've also hosted lake water quality meetings, again, open to all residents, organized, coordinated with parcel owners and staff drain projects designed to prevent harmful runoff into the lake, spearheaded numerous water quality and weed control initiatives, working with EGLE, our limnologists, our aeration specialists, and herbicide treatment vendors, partnered with the DNR and YMCA to install a boat cleaning station to control and prevent spread of invasive species over Michigan lakes, mowed and maintained the Sherman Lake public access for 2 years during COVID as no DNR resources were available. They sponsored scholarships for underprivileged youth at the YMCA summer camp and supported sewer hookups that now prevent millions of gallons of wastewater from making its way into our lake and groundwater. And for more than 20 years, the SLRA has partnered with Ross Township on petition-driven SADs with a focus on water quality and supported by the majority of Sherman Lake property owners in accordance with the state of Michigan laws. These are just a few examples of what they've done to improve and protect this natural resource. What a toxic and nasty group of people they must be. Surely they need to be dismantled. Personally, I'm thankful and grateful that we as a community on Sherman Lake have partnered with fellow residents in Ross Township over the past 50 years to continue to make Sherman Lake a great place to live and a summer destination for our friends and relatives to visit. I'd like to thank the SLRA, the current and former board members, all of the Sherman Lake residents, and Ross Township for helping to make this possible. Just imagine what else could be accomplished if the few residents that spend all of their time writing these negative, uninformed, untruthful, hurtful, and harmful allegations would instead spend their time focusing in a positive manner, attending SLRA meetings, getting involved in lake water quality meetings, collaboratively working with their neighbors to solve problems and researching new ways of preserving and protecting our valuable lake. All I can say is wow.
Thank you.
My name is Nancy Boyd, and I am the president of the Sherman Lake Residents Association. The township supervisor and I have both been target of some very slanderous email and social media posting for the past several years. The majority of it comes from two lake residents. Most of it is just ignorant rhetoric. However, the misinformation is being spread to other government agencies and other townships and is making us all, including those two residents, look like fools. The slander is primarily in regards to the public sewer mandate and the Sherman Lake Water Quality Special Assessment District, commonly referred as the SAD. I came to this meeting tonight to defend myself and to hear what the board and Attorney Thal have to say regarding the Sherman Lake Water Quality SAD. I'm hoping that we can all get some clarification regarding the township's roles and responsibilities and can put the ridiculous rumors and false narratives to bed. We can all agree that it is the township's responsibility to create an SAD, including the one for the Sherman Lake Water Quality Program. An SAD is defined as a designated geographic area where property owners pay an extra fee to fund a special local improvement or service. The township has always administrated our SAD appropriately. They define the geographic area, collect the fees, handle all the money coming in and going out. The contracts are signed by the township, and the township pays the invoices. Protocol to establish an SAD is clearly spelled out in Public Act 188 of 1954. According to Clifford Bloom, the attorney who specializes in Michigan lake law, the responsibility to create the actual water quality program has always belonged to the parcel owners or to a lake board. Our water quality program has been spearheaded by the SLRA for the past 20 plus years. The association invites all parcel owners to get involved. We host meetings, form working committees, send out emails, and share educational material. It's not our fault if parcel owners ignore our invitations and choose not to get involved. A petition is then circulated, and after it has been signed by the majority, it is presented to the township. If approved by the township, the program is then funded via an SAD. This is all in accordance with the law. It appears that some parcel owners are confusing the water quality SAD with the water quality program. In doing so, They are spreading misinformation and have created some pretty slanderous false narratives. The program belongs to the parcel owners. The SAD belongs to the township. The SAD is simply the funding mechanism for our program. The township is responsible to administer the SAD, not the program. The current SAD does not expire until April of 2028. I mistakenly thought that it expired in December of 2027, so the SLRA won't be circulating a petition this year. We will do it next year. Apologize for any confusion. Our limnologist is still in charge, our vendors are in place, our permits are up to date, and the lake looks really good. Thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you. Next.
Last name is Saad, S-A-A-D. I've been involved with the SLRA since about 2006, I think. The history of the SAD is, the current SAD started because we've been using herbicides for a long time, and we all were very concerned about the effects of the herbicides on the lake. They were bad for the lake. They were creating lots of dead organic material at the bottom of the lake, which was affecting the oxygen levels, and so ending up with lake quality, water lake quality getting worse, not better. And the company that was doing all the herbicide treatments was the one that Carolyn referred to as the PLM, Professional Lake Management. We've been working with them for many, many years. We wanted to get away from herbicides and go to alternatives. And we did a lot of research, spent lots and lots of hours, visited many sites looking for alternatives. And we came up with aeration as being it was a new strategy. We decided on that and went with it. And that's the current SAD, may I remind the people who are opposed to it, was signed by 70% of the residents. And there was an accusation of people were threatened to sign the SAD. We did not go around with baseball bats or anything like that, and nobody was threatened. People signed it voluntarily. And I think residents of this lake can protect their own interests and make their own decisions about things. They don't need anybody to try to persuade them to do otherwise. Not us and not the people who are opposed to what we're doing. The scope of the SAD is not just aeration, it's water quality. Okay, that used to be weed treatment was the only thing that was on the previous SADs, not the current ones. So we use any methods that we need to improve water quality, including aeration, drain mitigation, et cetera. We have achieved a lot, I think, over the years. The lake quality can be notably better, has been noted to be a lot better by fishermen who have said that fish quality has improved dramatically with the aeration. And I know a lot of them were upset that we were not aerating the lake because it affected the fish quality. Many lakes in the area are currently experiencing huge problems with algae. The algae is, we think, could have been an effect of aeration as a side effect, but we're not definitely sure about that. And that's why we changed the scope of the aeration of the lake that we're doing currently. And people want to be refunded because they don't have a bubbler in front of their property. We're aerating the lake according to what EGLE requested that we do. We had to change the way we were doing it based on their requirements. We didn't come up with that. Everything we're doing is researched and studied and based on a lot of scientific data. We're not coming up with this off the top of our heads. And, a lot of us
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anybody else? Closing public comment at 6:41 p.m., clerk. Moving into various committee updates. Let the fire department go first if we have, I don't see any fire department here. He's lurking around like, hello. We're getting you on and out because you've been busy today.
Do I have?
Yeah, here, take mine. Right here. Oh.
2 pages?
You got it. You guys been busy. 2 pages.
Okay, so for May, we responded to 51 calls compared to 46 last year. At this time, we'd responded to 217 calls from January to May 31st. We responded to 206 calls last year at the same time. So we were currently ahead of that schedule. Medical calls are the majority of them, 33, structure fire, car accident with injuries, couple of fire alarms, carbon monoxide, special service, we had 8, because we did have some weather circumstance there. Calls by area, Ross Township, we had 38, Village 9, and out of Township was 4. Galesburg, Charleston was 2 for the rec area, for Fort Custer. Hickory Corners, I responded to a house fire that they had on one afternoon, and then we got called to go to Richland to assist for a missing toddler, and they found the kid in the house. So, fortunately, nothing serious on that. We were assisted by Richland and Bedford on about a 3-acre brush fire on 89 by 46th Street. It was a lot of logs and everything else had been cut up, and it just kind of got out of control quickly. Had the 2 trainings. We did our car wash. We did the Hickory Corners Memorial Day Parade, and we also, some of the guys attended their pancake breakfast to just show our support for them. So, and then we also did a virtual meeting with the fire truck contractor, and I'll go into that here in just a second. So, so I got an update on the projected delivery date on the truck. Will be the 3rd week of October. That he sent me that today.
Do you want my batch of paperwork to talk about that?
Heck no. I can do it, but we really don't. I mean,
You don't need it?
I
Okay,
don't really
that's
need it,
fine.
no. So
So
we
October
made-
3rd is
we
the
only
new
made it-
delivery
yeah,
date.
That's what it came
Thank
with
you.
today. He was sick last week, so he just got. They had a meeting today, so he was able to send it to us about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we made just a couple minor changes for lighting that they thought would be a issue if we had the lights where we had maybe thought they would be. But so we deleted those on the very rear and then added electrical outlets in some compartments for our electric, like our chainsaws and our Homatro extrication tools. So we're gonna do that. The radios have been purchased, and we're just waiting for the dispatch authority to finish with Berry, figuring out what we need for Berry Township, Berry County, I should say, for their 800. And then it has to go to MPSC, so it'll be like probably 3 to 4 months before they ever get programmed through them because of the flood that's happening with all those. So, the grants that we've been applying for, Jake was up here working on that last week before he left on vacation. He's got just a few things to finish up on to do that. I think he'll be back tomorrow, so I think he's going to try to do it Thursday maybe. So, so the grants are the $50,000, which is no cost for us. The DNR grant, which is a 50-50, is up to $10,000 total matching. And so at $5,000 for us, $5,000 for the DNR. The AFG grant, which we are trying to apply for the SCBA's and airfill station, and that's a 90-10, and that's if we were projecting like a $350,000 to $400,000, what we would try to go for. I've got 2 applicants we'll be looking at. Martin did the background checks on those for me. Memorial Day Parade. Alec is graduating from the Fire Academy Thursday, so next Thursday, so anybody that wants to go up there, it's at the Gray Spring Church at 6 or 6:15, I think, so anybody that wants to do that. And other than that, we have host testing next week, and we'll be participating in the 4th of July Parade and I believe that they're gonna try to do the fireworks and they're gonna ask us to, I've been in contact with them a little bit, so I think we'll probably see, so they have tents set up outside at the country club from their fire that will probably be up there with Richland to assist on any fire issues, so.
So Chief, I had a quick question for you. When we do get all of our radios, what's the plan to get rid of your old stock? Is it something that you sell, or are these just
I don't
like
even know if they're
trash
gonna be
bin?
worth anything. I
Okay.
mean, there might be some departments that might be able to use them, I mean, but, it's like a lot of other things, a lot of times the value is nothing, but
Okay.
we'll see. I mean, or what we have done on a few different times, and when there's departments that don't have money that need some of the stuff that we can, even though it's outdated, there's some departments up north and down south that will jump on it like crazy because
Okay.
they don't have the money to be able to do stuff. So we'll look at that when that time comes, so.
Good, thank you.
Hey, Doug, I have a couple of questions before you go. But I didn't
My
want to
final
interrupt you.
question was, it sounds like the DNR grant the window is back open. They
Yeah.
closed it down, we were talking about that,
That
so
was
I'm,
that was the AFG grant. That was the big one.
that's
That
the
was
big
the big
one.
one, yeah.
So that's back open again?
Yes, yep. But we still
Perfect.
have to have that done before the end of the month. So almost all of them are due by the end of the month. So that's why Jake was working on that before he went on vacation, because he has to accumulate the information from up here. So
Yep.
he was up here working on it. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that opened up, but unfortunately, it's like a month. You gotta really
Yeah.
have your ducks in a row
Yeah.
to try to have everything done. Because when you try to submit it, you have to, when you start, you have to go all the way through, otherwise you have to start all back over again. You can't just like stop in the middle.
Right,
You have to start all over, so
Right.
it's a pain in the butt, but,
yeah,
so.
yeah, good update.
So maybe that answered this, but in our latest MTA magazine, it said Treasury temporarily suspends fire equipment grant program applications. Is there anything in the works right now that we feel is going to be suspended from that?
Well, it was suspended, and then last I heard, everything has come back through, so I don't know if,
Okay.
what was that date on that, do you know?
Just June.
June.
It was the June.
Well,
Yeah, it was in the June MTA. So I was just wondering.
I mean,
'cause
who
know we
knows?
have a lot.
It could get delayed again, but, I mean, the last I
Yeah.
knew, everything was wide open again, but, so.
Okay.
But-
And then my next question is, because it's not on our agenda today, but, back in April, we started talking about assigning a different than 50% for the capital of the fire budget on the millage. And then last month, we said that there's going to be discussions with the command staff. How are those discussions going?
Well, we've been so busy. We did have a meeting. What day did we have that meeting? You were there when
It was a Tuesday.
yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Oh, but then.
Did you meet as a liaison, or did you
Yes.
meet
Yeah.
as
Yep.
a
Yeah.
part of the public safety committee?
So,
No, liaison,
just to-
'cause
yeah,
I'm
just to
not on
have
the
her-
public safety
So she
committee.
could listen in on it or whatever, but she didn't make any decisions for us. She never
Right.
does anyway, so.
All right, so we have no.
Thank you for
we
saying
have no
that on
progress in
recording.
terms of what your needs are then. in
Yeah,
terms
I
of-
mean, we kind of discussed it a little bit. We haven't had a whole bunch of time because between those guys being out of town and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff, we haven't had a whole lot of time to spend much more on it. I
But
mean,
we did
as-
agree that we were gonna reconvene, we were gonna meet
Yes.
again, because they ran out of time, and so we
Yeah, 'cause
just
we had a meeting
decided,
that night
yeah,
still too,
we're,
so we
we're
were
gonna
kinda-
get together again.
We were late starting the meeting because we had some calls and
Yep.
then
Sure.
tried to do that, and then we had training after that.
So you think in the July meeting that we might be ready to look at
We
that?
might be. I mean, as far as how the money works, it's really as far as I'm concerned, it's not a big deal. Whichever, I mean, as long as we have the money there. I mean, whether it's 50-50 or 70-30 or whatever.
Yeah, I guess
mean,
I disagree.
it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, it's the way we've worked it is, I thought it worked fine that we have put money aside, planning on, so like this new truck, we've planned on it for the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, in all reality, if we could have proceeded with it, we'd be looking at the next truck we'd be working on that one for the next couple years. I mean, because that truck would have been bought by now, or we would have had it. So if we could have done that, but we were put on hold.
But you do agree it would impact the 5 and 10-year plan, right?
I don't think it's gonna.
Well, if
Why?
it goes from 50 to 30, it would impact it by close to, what, $600,000 over the next 4 years, 5 years.
But I mean, the money's still gonna be there, I mean, unless by chance our millage doesn't go through again at the time, but I mean, the
Well,
money.
again, we were talking
The way I
about-
see it, the money's
yeah.
still gonna be there, but
Yeah,
that's.
Maybe as a liaison, you need to discuss that, because we're talking about improving the operating budget at the expense of the capital budget, so that we can get some of our shortcomings covered.
Yeah, I mean,
And what we need to do is understand what the shortcomings are, right? What do we need to address? So let's hope that maybe by July we can do that. But
So
again,
just to be-
the way
The
it's
big-
set
the
up,
biggest
Doug,
thing-
is
The
once
biggest thing
we,
that we're lacking is, I mean, I've got 2 applicants, but, I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm lacking, is.
Applicants.
Applicants.
Bodies.
And I mean, we've put it out there for everything, and it's, and we're not the only one. Every department out there is in the same boat, other than some of the full-time departments. I mean, and even then, they're short-staffed for what they're supposed to have for staffing. I mean, there's different times when they're supposed to have 3 or 4 people, and, well, the 2 people called in sick, so they got 2 people and scrambling to try to get the other people there. I mean, so it's just not us. I mean, that's, no.
we have an opportunity to put a good package together, and I just hope we
Well,
run
and
through
that's-
the circles then, so, all right.
The biggest thing is that most people just don't want to put the time and effort into it anymore. I mean, unfortunately. I mean, because of all the requirements that are made on us, that there's a few. I mean, we get a few people here and there, but most just don't want to. I mean, they got better things to do. I mean, the kids out here want to do whatever. They don't want to spend a whole year of their life going to class just to run fire calls for Ross Township. Or, I mean, the only way they want to do it is if they're going to get full time. Most of them just don't have the community commitment, unfortunately. I mean, the few I've got some guys that really are. Jake, Rob, me, most of the guys on it. I mean, there's some of them that all they're looking for is what they get for a pay. And I talked to the guys at Prairieville the other night. They're paying those guys $30 an hour, and they still only have 5 or 6 guys showing up. So it doesn't matter what. I mean, it doesn't matter. I could offer them $100 an hour, and would we get any more people? Probably the standard 5 or 6. I mean, that show up for calls. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, $30 an hour is $7 or $8 an hour more than. It's about $4 or $5 an hour more than the full-time guys are getting. So, and they still can't get people. So I mean, I don't know what we're going to do about it. I mean, unfortunately, it's not just something. I did talk to Christina. I talked to at my chief's meeting a couple months ago. I had the guy come in from Van Buren Community, whatever you want to call it. He teaches he teaches the fire academy for high schoolers. They graduate from high school. If they graduate, they have their same academy requirements that Alec is doing right now at 18. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have tried to get with K-Race, and I haven't been able to do that as of yet. Maybe that will, when they're 18 years old, maybe it's going to be something that they would think it's pretty fun to do, easier than having to, okay, I just graduated from high school. I don't want to go to class again. And they don't have to, other than just come to our trainings. So I've been trying to set that up. I did have the guy come from the vocational education from Van Buren and did a presentation at my chief's meeting. Because every department out there is the same. I mean, there's nobody saying, I've got 15 people too many that are applying.
I fully support everything that you're saying. I think that we had a great meeting. I think that we had a lot of really good synergy between the deputy, the assistant chief, and Doug and I. And I think the number one thing that we really need to get our arms around is how we're going to get staffing. Staffing's a big deal. We're looking at the same rotation of firefighters going out all hours of the night. And, before we start really talking about restricting fundings, I think we've got to get K-RESA to the table. I have a daughter who did a part-time gig at Gull Lake High School where she went and did clinical training. And so we've got to be able to work with KRISA to be able to get this fire relationship and this training off the ground, to reach out to those individuals in the high school and grab them, because not everybody's going to go to a 4-year institution. A trade or something very meaningful in the community is where we need to meet them where they're at. So that's something that we're going to work together at our next meeting. It's difficult for me to force these guys to stay in a chair when they're getting toned out. And so the time we had together was good, it was positive, but we do need to pick up where we left off. And so let's you and I get together and get on each other's calendar again,
Well,
and kind of talk about this
We're
again.
trying to get back to having a monthly, at least monthly or every other month for a officers meeting. So, but it just, the time commitment gets pretty hard to try to make that happen. But so.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chief.
Good evening, Lori Phillips from Life Care Ambulance. For May, we ran 23 lights and sirens calls, transported 18 of those, and one of those we transported red lights and sirens. Our average response time for the red lights and sirens calls was 9 minutes and 4 seconds. For the non-lights and sirens responses, we had 16, transported 9 of those. The average response time was 11.4 minutes for that. We received two mutual aid calls from Life EMS, and we also assisted them on 2 calls as well. For destinations, the majority of people are going to either Bronson Kalamazoo or Bronson Battle Creek. We only had 3 people that went to Beacon on Gull Road, and about, it doesn't really matter where they go, it's about 70 minutes per call that it takes to run a call that we transport on. On our staffing, the day car, 3911, it was 100% staffed. As you can see, the night car was 83% staffed. The reason for that is one of our members is a reserve in the military, and he was stationed at the Pentagon for a couple of weeks. So that created some staffing issues, but we did backfill with a Battle Creek car. It was just the Gull Lake car itself was not. It was only staffed 83% of that time. And any issues that came about, we only had 2. It was 2 instances on the same day. We had a Battle Creek car that did not release the fire department, and they transported before the fire department got there and didn't cancel them. So that was addressed with the employees, but then we also took the opportunity to get more information out to the crews, remind them to do that, so we're not wasting the fire department's time. So we did that. And last but not least, apparently it's June, and we're like 10 months into the contract, so we wanted to discuss possibly moving forward with negotiations to renew the contract. And wanted to bring that up.
Let's get that on the calendar and have that conversation.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Lori.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori.
Good evening, folks. Pretty standard month of May. Nothing major significant. As you can see, I've started Marine Patrol. The weather hasn't cooperated, so we've been very minor. I'm going to be providing you guys information as to how much of the Marine Patrol is on the water versus how much time I spend on the water. As I explained to a couple of you, my goal is to minimize my time on the water, but I will still be on patrol during the weekends, during the summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We have some new people in Marine Patrol that I've been training up so that when the weather does turn nice, not today, but when it does turn nice, we'll be ready to provide a service to the community. Okay. I did participate in water training with the fire department up at Gull Lake. Doug tried to throw me in the deep end, but I managed to swim ashore. But no, we worked together, did some training so that I know what they need from me and they know what I can provide them. So hopefully our services won't be needed this year. And I guess I'll be back up, and when I pop up in the new business part of the agenda. If you don't have any other questions now, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Thanks, Chief. This is not Q&A.
I know, I just got a message from the community that YouTube is not working.
I don't want to shut it down. It will be recorded, so people may need to log in to see the beginning, because it is showing it is recording. Tell your people to try now. I can see us on the calendar, or on the camera, so we are moving. Thank you for that notification. Mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. People should be able to, and it'll be recorded from 6 o'clock on. Thank you for that. Any other committee updates? Very good.
Sorry, look, on the, not that we have an official park committee, but having, spent a lot of time, at the park, I think it was looking really good until a big limb came down. And, we did our best to get it cleaned up as quickly as we could. And, our lawn people got the branches out, and so there's just a little bit of tree branch left to get out that's fairly large. We have one picnic table that Perry hopefully will get fixed sometime within the next week. I'm looking back at Mary Carroll for nodding, but I think we got a great resource in the park. So if anyone who is either listening or here, come on by, because Ross Township residents for the annual pass get a discount. So come check out the park.
Thank you. Thank you for all your really difficult work chainsawing and your hard labor carting away boughs and branches, and it would have cost Ross Township a lot to get a tree firm in there. And the fact that you went in there with your chainsaw, with your guys, and got it done, we are so thankful for you. It was a great budget win for us, but honestly, that's a lot of back-breaking work. We had a lot of individuals out there picking up sticks after the storm recovery, and you did a lot of really tremendous labor, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And just for the record, my guys, it was my son, so.
You brought
I
him.
don't have guys. I have children.
You have children, so thank you for that. It's very great.
Did the Public Safety Committee meet last month or not?
No, we did not. But I did join Christina with the command staff meeting.
It was a good meeting, but just a lack of time. Any other questions? Moving into old business, do we have a streetlight assessment update?
We do. The assessor and I went through all of the parcels in the township, and we created the districts. They've all been updated, so we have our rolls ready to go.
Thank you.
What's the average cost increase for those who are in those districts?
So currently they range, and I think that's part of what we're fixing. I have somebody that pays 64 cents a year for streetlights, and some people spend $64. So, we don't have the exact numbers for each district yet, because we're combining some districts, like Stony Creek. That was the intention, to combine that district from the beginning. So we need to compile the numbers as far as that goes. We have all the data from consumers to get those numbers, but now that we have the districts recreated, we could probably bring numbers to next month's meeting.
Thank you for that update. Did our fire chief leave? Is he here? So Doug, next up on new business is the U.S. Fire and the fire truck revised contract that's in the board packet. Is there anything you want to talk about that other than, oh, you're not Doug. I was going to say, Doug got cleaned up. So I think the new business, we were going to talk about the delivery, and so I think we're done. You have a new contract. We've got a new spec bid. We had a great meeting. I signed it. They sent it off, and sounds like October is going to be the delivery date. So very exciting. We went from last meeting where we didn't have a fire truck secured to we've got it, and we've got a delivery date.
Is the amount approved still solid?
Yes,
Very good.
it is the approved budget.
Because
other
the
questions?
updated contract came in lower.
That is correct. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, lower than the original
original.
plus the 30, or just lower than the original, not including the extra 30?
We didn't have the extra 30 in this one. So it was a win for us.
Good. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Next up, I will turn it over to the clerk.
I would like to introduce my new deputy clerk, Ken William.
Step up to the podium. Would you like to speak?
My wife and I, moved here about a couple of years ago, and we, I guess strategically, been slow to get involved. But just recently, she started at the Y, doing a part-time job there. And, I think for the last year, my wife retired 3 years ago, I retired 2 years ago. And we were kind of like concerned as to whether or not we would be going back and forth from Michigan to Maryland. So we're from Maryland. And so we decided, nope, Michigan is home. And so we're going to spend our entire time here. And so this opportunity as deputy clerk came up, and we just got through the May election. I was one of the election inspectors, and found out that the deputy clerk position was open. And so I applied to it. And so I felt that this was a great opportunity for myself to get a little bit more involved, with the local community, with the local Ross Township. And so I'm just looking forward to assisting Mary in whatever way I can with all her responsibilities. And but I'm glad to be here today, and thank you very much for your time and your support.
We're so glad to have you.
Yes.
You are a great addition to the office team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving next into the Sherman Lake Water Quality Special Assessment, and I'm going to turn this over to Attorney Thal. This will not be a Q&A. This will be a good opportunity for our attorney to answer hopefully a lot of the questions that were brought before us tonight.
Right. So the first thing I'd like to mention is that both Christina and Amanda will need to recuse themselves from participation in discussion, voting on SAD matters. They both live on Sherman Lake and would benefit from a special assessment, so they will recuse themselves from that, correct?
That is correct, absolutely.
What does that, I'm sorry, what does that include? Does that include even, we don't get emails from them?
They should be, in terms of board participation, they should not participate in the board discussion. Now, they can certainly go out in the public and make public comment if you want, when things come up. You're able to do that as a member of the public, but in terms of board discussion, no. And in terms of voting on matters, no.
Right, voting, discussion, and then, but even emails going back and forth?
There's going to have to be administrative tasks of, but it should not be opinion-based materials. It should
Okay.
be informational-based.
That's clear.
So, does that make sense?
And this is consistent with what we did last time. That
Yes,
this
it
matter
is.
came up.
Yeah. So what I would like to just talk about is the special assessment process, and maybe where we go from this point forward. The current Sherman Lake Aquatic Weed Control and Water Quality Special Assessment, its last collection will be this December. So it'll go on the winter tax bill. That'll be the last collection of this SAD. And then the last part part of the project that will be performed will be next year. So the project goes through 2027. So the last monies collected will be on the December tax bill. Last part of the project will be 2027. So we're really not looking for another project potentially until 2028. And so we're about a year early. So that's, as indicated, I think there's a little error there in terms of when we need to get started on the next assessment process. There's nothing wrong, certainly, with talking about the issues as they stand right now and where we go forward. It might be a good time to be early on these things. We are early, just kind of going over the process a little bit. So the first part of the process would be the gathering of a petition. So if they gather a petition like they did before and circulate it in support of a project for aquatic weed control and water quality, they would collect signatures. If they get over 50%, they can move forward. The last time they said they had 70%. Now, even if a petition comes to you, there's no obligation to do a special assessment. So realize that. Like, sometimes townships are like, this is just, I'm sick of this. I'm not going to do it anymore. You, public, figure out how to take care of your lake without us. So it's not something you have to do, even if they bring petitions. It's something that the board chooses to do to participate and help with the project. So that starts with the petition coming to the township board, then the township board deciding, yes, we are willing to move forward. And so you do what's called a notice of intent. So that's the first part of the process, is a resolution by the board. And this would be done probably summertime of next year. They'd get petitions, bring in a notice of intent to the board, or the township board would pass a notice of intent saying, hey, we intend to move forward with this project as petitioned. And then you would ask for costs and other things to be associated with that. That is the point in time where you would ask for bids for the project to determine cost and scope of the project. The one thing I'll note is that last time we did the project, we did not have a bid policy. The township now does have a bid policy, and so you're going to have to follow your bid policy for this project. I believe if it's over $20,000 in our bid policy, we have to send it out for bidding. Yeah, and so that's going to be different than last time. And we would need to get bids for the project, maybe bids on a limnologist and bids on a contractor to do the services. So if there's other people that want to bid on the project, it's not just necessarily the same people that have done it previously. So that would be after the notice of intent. Once we get bids in, we know the cost and so forth, then we do what's called establishing the district. We do a resolution to establish the district, approve the actual project with the plans and with who we're going to move forward with. And then, so there's a public hearing at that point to establish the district. And then you have another public hearing to spread the costs of the role. So you have a public hearing, you figure out what the costs are going to be. Then the next public hearing is how you spread those costs on the properties that benefit from the project, which are all the lakefront properties and those with deeded access to the lake are all a part of the project. And so that's about a 3-month process to go through that. It may take a little longer with bids, but those are things that also could be lined up ahead of time with people being willing, when the time comes, to submit bids. So that's something that can be pre-prepared as to, getting other people who are interested in performing the project. And that doesn't have to come just from the association. It could come from legwork from other parties, in terms of who might be available to bid on the project. It's important to understand that, and very common, that associations assist in the project. They help do a lot of the legwork. A lot of times they will bring the project to the township, and that's normally what happens, is the association brings the project to the township. But understand, it's always the township's project. So as soon as you decide to move forward with that, it becomes the township's project. It's the township's contracts, it's the township's funds, and it's the township's project. Not just the SAD, but the whole thing becomes something that you're approving and is moving forward. So that's important to understand in doing this. So I know that, so we're pretty early. This is stuff that'll go on early next year through the summer, and then you get the special assessment on the tax roll for December of 2027 for a project that would start in 2028. I don't know this, these are things in terms of how long the project would be, what the project involves. These are things that need to be brought forward, and would normally be part of the petition. Like, is it a 2-year project? Is it a 5-year? This was a 7-year project. What's being brought forward to the township in that regard. One thing that I would suggest is, and there have been many, I read a number of these, I read the emails that came in, and there's a lot of concerns over different aspects of the project. I think probably what I would suggest the board do is, at a meeting moving forward, is to invite the limnologist, Dr. Jones, and the contractor, John Tucci, to a meeting where, more of an open house kind of meeting, where the public can ask them questions. I mean, this board does not necessarily know all the things that go on with the lake and what the condition is, but I think it'd be very beneficial to have the public have the opportunity to talk with them, with the board present, to hear, what they're doing, what the questions are, how they answer those questions, because these people will most likely be bidding on the project for the future SAD. So you want to know, if they've done a good job. Have they done a good job? Is it working? Have them answer specific questions regarding it. I think that's going to be pretty important. There's some issues with Eagle having to halt operations on things and get a new permit, which cost additional expenses. I think they should address that issue to the board as to why that happened, what happened with that. So I think that's really we could do that later this year, and it's still timely for next year to get that information. But again, this is your project, so, as it's coming forward to you, the association certainly can do a lot of the legwork and bring that forward. Other members of the lake, if other people from the lake have other opinions and other things, they can bring that forward also. It's not just, the association helps the township board, but it's not the only way that you get information and have to operate. So that would be my one thing that I think we should do is do that. And then you're really just kind of waiting into next year to see what kind of petitions come forward to the township board and whether, you agree with those petitions to move forward with the project. Does anybody have any questions?
So on the one that's currently running, we're managing that, or are we just paying the bills and collecting it back in taxes? That's where I guess I'm.
Well, we are responsible for the contract. So the services that are provided, I don't know necessarily the particulars of how that works, but what happens is, we are in charge of the funds. We hold the funds, we hold the contracts. And if the association somehow mediates those issues, between the contractors and the township, that's fine. But it's still our responsibility, when we're paying under those.
Yeah, and I understand how the funds are controlled by the township. But we didn't have like you said, we didn't have a bidding process back, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. So that means that we still went out and got the bid, or was the bid presented to us?
Well, it was presented as a single project from the association, and the township board chose to move forward with that project and with those vendors. But it was not bid out, competitively bid.
Forward because of our bidding process, and we're responsible, we would have to go out for multiple bids if it was over.
You have to at least put it out, yeah, and see what comes back.
So am I correct in thinking that, being that we are responsible, that it seems to me like all the details are known by the SLRA, maybe they should be reporting feedback on a regular basis, like monthly meetings or something like that, so that we know what's going on more?
I think it's a good idea. I don't know if you need it monthly, but maybe quarterly or something. Come and tell us what's going on with the lake quality, how the project seems to be working. I think that would be beneficial to have something like that. I think that's a good idea. Because ultimately, the buck does stop with the board. And it's not unusual. When I first came in, I think the association did even more, right? And the township did even less. It's something that is a constant. And I see it in the townships all over, where the associations kind of run the SAD, but it's really not how it should function. It should, the associations can help, they can do legwork and so forth, but it still needs to funnel through the board.
They'll develop a plan, get at least 50% signatures that they're got people behind that plan, but then we have the rights to change that plan if it comes forward?
You have the right to, you could if you wanted to, yeah. You have the right under special assessment. You could just choose to do the special assessment without a petition from the public. Now, most townships are not going to do that for a lake assessment or even road assessments. You know, if you're going to repair a road or something, you get petitions and then you go forward because you know the public is supporting that project. But the township has the authority under Public Act 188 to just do a special assessment. You could just do it. But instead, you know, we pretty much require that they come forward. Whoever wants to do a special assessment has to come forward with the requisite petitions, and then the township will consider it. You know, if you're not comfortable with that, you could say, hey, go back and, you know, collect others, you know, you could reject it. You could move forward on petitions and on your own initiative or on your own initiative.
So all bids have to come before us.
Yes, it'd be a bid process that the board should then, would then be responsible for. The bids would come here. Certainly the association, if they're assisting, would be, you know, here at the same time. And any other, I mean, it's going to be a public opening, so members of the public could be here also. So I don't know if the board, what the board thinks of in terms of, you know, if you want to consider, you know, inviting the vendors here to meet, you know, open meeting and answer questions of the public, answer questions of the board. I mean, I think that's I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree that the current vendors, we ought to get an update. I think as far as going forward, you know, it starts with the petition. And if they don't get the, you know, over 50%, then it's a mute point. But if they do, then we need to put everything together.
We want to make sure, though, we have time, if we change our mind, that they have time to get it in time.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I would suspect, you know, the petition should be not that, it's going to be, it should be a generalized petition, you know, for invasive aquatic weed species management and lake quality.
I mean, would there be any reason not just use the same language that they have on the last
They
one?
could easily use that same language, move, you know, I'm hesitant when they want to put a dollar amount to that, and I know people might be hesitant to sign a petition without a dollar amount, but I think that is kind of problematic because we don't know what that is at that point. They can talk about like what, you know, what an estimated cost would be, but, you know, it's really more about, do you want to do this project, how it would be divvied up, you know. Right now, it's one full unit for those with lakefront access and half a unit for those with deeded backlot access. And so, you know, you put together your petition, you collect your signatures, and then, you know, at that point, if the township wants to move forward, then you do your notice of intent and issue out an RFP for vendors, for your limnologist and your contractor.
And those vendors could come to us from the Lake Association or from anybody.
They can certainly, the Lake Association can coordinate vendors to come forward, and it could be the current vendors. If other members of the public want to work on getting vendors to respond to the RFP, that's certainly their right to do.
So we should probably have a timeline that says, hey, we're targeting the petition to be in by this date. You know, we're gonna create the RFP, RFQ. We're gonna submit it out. Maybe have all the vendors that we know about, you know, come in and hear what the process is within a timeline to come, you know, when they're going to be back, and we're going to do the big reveal.
Yeah, I could put together just kind of a basic timeline for, you know, to follow it. you know, it's not a hard and fast
Right.
thing, but, you know, a generalized timeline and to try to keep on so the project can move forward and get built out in, you know, timely manner.
I think what I read in Lynn's comment, I may have read it incorrectly, but we would start our work once the petition is put in. So there shouldn't be, I mean, and right now from what I hear, we have a lot of people arguing on what should be in that petition, correct? But if we got a petition, say within a month even, then we would know where the arguments are. We would know the experts we would have to call in and have these town halls, and we would, you know, and hopefully that would be our work because the decision would need to be made for a year.
Yeah, and I think, though, the petition shouldn't be, if it's overly specific, that might not work for the township board. I think it needs to be more generalized as to, you know, what most lake SADs do. They, you know, try to control invasive weeds in the lake and try to improve water quality. You know, that's.
But they're going to come with a game plan on how to do that they're going to present the board, right?
Well, it could be, no, I don't think it has to be that specific because it could be different. You know, you have the aeration aspect to it, but then there's others that may, and they've said they've looked at chemical and other things, but you know, at this point, you'd want to see what the options are for lake management and what people, you know, what a presentation might be like from others too. So you would have Dr. Jones' presentation, I'm sure, and you would have others that might present a different way to manage the lake that you might have to make a decision on.
So assuming they get the petition signed and we go forward, in order to have it on the winter taxes for 28, the last point in time where we would have to approve it would
October of next year.
So that's our end.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
that
you
sets
can't
that
really
end
go
one.
past that because it's got to go on the December tax bill, so you
So
really.
Would it really be better to have it approved by September, so?
Oh, yeah, I think, you know, as I develop a timeline for it, it would be more like.
Right,
We'd
but
be doing these
October is
functions in
kind
the
of the drop
summertime.
dead, which would then say roughly they'd want to have the signatures either be successful with the signatures or not in what quarter?
Well, it'd be
Fourth-
nice to have them first quarter of
First
next
quarter?
year.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that because then it gives us time to
gives
understand
us
the different pieces and what everybody believes, and then
Right.
maybe at that point, and again, we might have an
to put-
expert coming in that's going to discuss something that wouldn't even be thought of by all, right? So, all right.
Then we get our quotes and what people want to, you know, the experts put out there, different aspects of how they want to handle the lake and.
Yeah, and I mean, our success is going to be based on how participative everybody is during the process to put the opportunities in front of how to control the lake.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot to it, and that's why a lot of townships, you know, rely on the associations to do the legwork on a lot of that.
So how do we work with the public to put that timeline out there? Is it just in the meeting minutes that we are expecting sometime in the first
Well,
quarter of?
Yeah, and if I put together a timeline, it could be publicly available, certainly.
That need a motion for you to put together a timeline that we can put in the meeting minutes? All right, I'll make a motion that Rob Thal puts a projected timeline that gives plenty of time for input from everybody who lives on Sherman Lake and getting the application and the details in so that we have plenty of time to have the public hearings and get experts involved so that they can discuss what information people might be missing. Because, you know, again, I'm always a believer if everybody has all the exact same information, 99.5% of the time, they're going to agree on a path forward. So,
And I think this would be the first timeline is going to be at a higher level, just so everybody knows, and then it'll get refined with more specific activities hung off of it, and then who does it. You know, for example, at some point we may want to say, well, we want to, you know, have a public Q&A, and we're gonna get Eagle in here, we're gonna get the, current vendor. I mean, those are all details that could be added to start with a high level.
Because we could have a town hall meeting on it.
Right.
With everybody from the lake invited.
Yep.
Aside from the formal process where, we're going to have 2 public hearings.
Right.
And go through
Yeah.
that. You can always
Why
have.
add that in the timeline for the second quarter? And then we have the third quarter basically to tie up any loose ends before we have to vote.
The only other question is, do you want to have, say, a meeting with the current vendors?
I think
As a
that's
kind of like a town hall?
I think
kind of
that's a
open
very good
discussion.
idea.
I think so, and I think it would be appropriate to have Eagle
If somebody from
if they're available.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a
Let
minute.
me.
Well, hold on.
I'll give you a second.
Okay, look, hold on. Just as a point of order, I built the agenda and my word was that we were not going to take any action so are we violating the fact that I put down for discussion only? So not that I
Well, we're
don't
discussing-
value what your
Actually,
input was, but I want to default to Rob Thal. Do
And
you
it-
see any matters, any problem
The
with what we're
board,
doing?
an agenda at a regular meeting, the board can make alterations as it chooses. It's, a special meeting, you're stuck with it unless all board members are there. But certainly if the board wants to take actions, you can. If you want to just not and talk about it at a different meeting, that's
Well,
fine too.
my intent is to help everybody, not just be beneficial to the board for an easier decision, right?
And I think this action's really just have a timeline, so we could all know
What we're working with.
what we're working with.
And because I believe that there is a faction that doesn't either trust or appreciate the current vendors, I think it just has to be all vendors coming in at the same time to say what the thoughts are based on the input we get. Because otherwise, we're just still going to end up with,
Same thing.
yeah, people butting heads. So, but again, if we, on that schedule, if we just say, hey, we'd like a couple of public hearings in the second quarter, we have plenty of time to make arrangement on who's going to be there, what we're going to discuss.
Town
because we're-
halls.
Or town halls.
Those would be town halls,
Right,
not public
because-
hearings.
So what I'm hearing is build the timeline and then build in a couple, at least 1, maybe 2 town hall meetings.
Right,
that
with the target
might-
of September being everything is in place and we're ready to vote a yay or a nay on a set.
So at the point, our current vendors would be there. Do something different, have a town hall meeting before, then is scheduled, then that's up to you.
And I think it'd be okay to put the timeline once you establish it and we think that it fits, put it on the website.
Yeah, we may want to have a page, like a temporary page where updates get put, and even when it comes time for the request for proposal, there could be link to it. So if somebody knows a vendor, they could say, "Hey, go to this site. There's the link. You can
Right.
get all the information and when to submit your
And
stuff."
if we can drive 100% participation, I think it makes the whole thing easy, or for all. So, okay.
I think if I understood Mike right, that I agree that it has to be all the vendors there presenting what they have, not just the current vendors, to where it's just you said this and you did that attack session, because I don't see where we get anything out of that. We just, here's what each one has to offer, and then they can ask those people questions. That's the way I envision it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why we would have town halls and
Right, I-
public hearings.
I agree. 'Cause we've done something similar. I think there's a separate where we bring the current ones in, not part of the bid process, just to get an update, be able to ask some questions. Or something, but yeah. All right, I like it. So we got motion and a second.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you made the motion, you seconded it, and that's for Rob Thal to build a timeline for the new SAD that will be ready to go in 2027. September of 2027.
We
Ready for decision.
we would be targeting to approve.
Or
That would be
not.
the end date. I think the timeline, if we had it by, if not next meeting, August, we'd be in good shape. Does that seem doable, Rob?
Oh, no problem, yep.
Okay.
And is the old SAD, you said they